Hey guys, it's AvAngel, welcome back to the channel. Now it's New Year's Day and I thought what better way to start 2025 than with a little positivity. So here, in no particular order, are my top 10 aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. These are not the best aircraft, these are not my everyday flyers, but these are my top recommendations for you. Now you may not have these in your version, but when the marketplace does come out, you will be able to pick up aircraft individually, and these are my favourites at the moment to fly, and I recommend you check them out if you can. Where to start? The eponymous de Havilland Canada DHC-2 Beaver. Single engine, high wing, prop driven, short takeoff and landing aircraft, designed to be the baddie of bush flying. It's an old airplane, but she serves many purposes, from cargo to passengers to crop dusting to rescue. It's done it all. It's powered by a Wasp R985 Pratt & Whitney engine, putting out 450 horsepower. She has a max speed of about 137 knots, cruising at about 115 or so, and her range is around 395-400 nautical miles. This aircraft will get in and out of basically anywhere and look amazing doing it. Made by Blackbird Simulations, this one has floats, it has wheels, it has options, and it is a classic with amazing sounds and always a fantastic one to fly. The Cessna 208 Caravan has been in almost every version of Flight Simulator for as long as I can remember. It's a strutted high-wing utility aircraft that typically seats between 9 and 12 in an unpressurized cabin. It's powered by a single Pratt & Whitney PT-6A at the front with a fixed tricycle landing gear. She can have skis, floats, or wheels. In the sim, of course, we get floats and wheels. She has that 675 shaft horsepower Pratt & Whitney at the front. She can cruise at around 186 knots, stalls at around 61, and a range of over 1,000 nautical miles. With a glass cockpit, this is a great all-rounder that's fairly easy to fly, uncomplicated, and will get you into most airfields anywhere. Overall, in terms of sim utility, it's got almost everything you could want, and it's in the base game. The Cessna 404 Corvallis, originally developed by Columbia Aircraft as the Columbia 400, is a fixed-gear, low-wing, high-performance single-engine aircraft, powered by a Teledyne Continental TSIO 550 flat 6 with 310 horsepower. She can get up to a max speed of 235 knots, cruise at around the same speed, get up to 25,000 feet, and do it for 1,100 nautical miles. Now, it's going to be a tight comparison with the SR-22, and it's going to be what you prefer. I personally prefer the cockpit layout in this. I personally prefer how this flies to the SR-22. A lot of people love the Cirrus. I think this one is underappreciated and a fantastic aircraft in MSFS 2024. She's in the base game, and I just think there's a little bit more visibility in the front end of the cockpit, and it's a bit more interesting overall. Yeah, an airliner. Well, it's a twin turboprop regional, so it doesn't really count. This is Coronado's Saab 340, and it is a twin-engine turboprop designed to seat between 30 to 36, powered by a pair of General Electric CT79B turboprops, putting out around 1,800 shaft horsepower at takeoff. It can cruise at 283 knots, a range of 1,300 nautical miles, and can reasonably fly up to 25,000 feet. With Rockwell Collins avionics in there, it's a fun aircraft to fly. It's actually surprisingly simple for a twin turboprop regional. It's not overly crazy inside. We have a lot of decent, great looking avionics in here, and she performs very, very well into reasonably short strips. With the cargo and passenger versions, it's something you can fly in more remote areas if you choose to, and it's a great introduction to more advanced airliners. So a good place to start if you're looking for something like that. This one, I like taking it into very small strips because I can. And it's a Saab, everyone loves Saabs. So just like the Saab, Another premium deluxe edition aircraft is the Pipol Taurus M from Got Friends. Now, this is by Slovenian company Pipistrel, and it is a motor glider, combining two great things, a microlight and a glider. You can self-launch with the Rotax 503 on board, putting out 53 horsepower. It's not big or clever, but it can get you out of danger if you run out of altitude, and you can take off from your own airstrips and then go gliding. Two seats side by side, giving you a little bit less claustrophobic feeling that a lot of glider cockpits can have sometimes. Great avionics, really good flight dynamics, and very forgiving to land. So I really recommend this as an option, but like I said, it is in Premium Deluxe. You do get two gliders, however, in the base edition if you really want to try it out. But the motor gliders are in the higher versions of the Sim. In fact, both of them live squarely up in Deluxe and Premium Deluxe. The only helicopter on my list today is Asobo's Guimbal, probably mispronounced that one, Cabri G2. Now the Cabri G2 is a two-seat light helicopter produced by Helicopteres Guimbal. It's probably horribly pronounced. Powered by a reciprocating engine. Now, it was developed by Bruno Guimbal, a former Eurocopter engineer, who brought his know-how in the 1980s to bringing this aircraft to life. Powered by a single Lycoming 0360 piston engine, putting out 150 horsepower, she has a max speed of around 100 knots, can cruise at around 90, and a range of about 380 to 400 nautical miles. 4.5 hour endurance. What I like about it is a really familiar cockpit, very, very forgiving to fly, especially if you're learning a helicopter. Unlike the H125, it does have force trim, and you have the ability to fold out the tablet for navigation purposes. So a fantastic and feature-rich little beginner helicopter that can really help you to feel more comfortable flying helicopters. So to me, possibly the biggest recommendation of any helicopter in this sim so far of the stock options. And it's in the base game. Other aircraft, like the H225, is in Premium Deluxe, and the 125, of course, is in the actual base game too, but I really recommend this one. Now, this may seem like a funny option, but the Magne Gyro M24 by Blue Mesh is fantastic. This Italian sport auto gyro feels like you're driving a little car. It feels like a little Fiat 500, but it's a side-by-side enclosed cabin, powered by a Rotax 914, putting out 114 horsepower. You can get up to 105 knots, cruise at 78, fly up to 13,000 feet if you're brave. But most of all, it's so simple to fly, enjoyable to fly, fantastic sounds, and is genuinely a pleasant little aircraft to operate. Fantastic for sightseeing, and something I really recommend you give a try if you've never touched it before. Many serious flight simmers might discount an autogyro or one of the more sightseeing orientated aircraft. This one, if you haven't flown, I highly recommend you touch it. It is fantastic. In fact, touch it with both hands on the controls. I don't know why I said touch it. Boy, do I have a lot to say about this one. This is Got Friends' Zlin Nordon. Now, the Savage Nordon is a two-seat single-engine STOL aircraft developed by Zlin Aviation from the Czech Republic. The company has had a lot of aircraft in FS 2020, and Got Friends have made quite a few other versions themselves, and now they give us this from the Premium Deluxe Edition. And Premium Deluxe is worth it for this alone. The aircraft first flew in 2021, powered by a 916 Rotax, putting out 160 horsepower. There are other engine versions, of course. Turning a constant speed 5-blade propeller, this thing grabs the air like it's trying to steal your purse. A range of up to 850 miles, surface ceiling of 15,000 feet. She climbs like a scalded cat, like 2,000 feet a minute, and cruises at 122 miles an hour with a max speed of 134, stall speed of just about 34 with full flaps and slats. It is a bush monster with configurable liveries, hammocks, different options inside the cockpit and the aircraft. This thing is a fun little plane that really gives you a ton of customization, has phenomenal flight dynamics, and is genuinely a great little bush basher. Absolutely recommend this. Probably of most aircraft in this list, it is absolutely up there. Go fly it. Totally worth it. And if you can get this in the marketplace on its own afterwards, do so. Possibly my favourite twin in the sim at the moment that isn't a DC-3 is Caravan's Cessna 404 Titan. Now the 404 was a twin engine produced by Cessna for 6 to 8 passengers. It was the biggest twin they made at the time, powered by two 375 horsepower Continental GTSIO 520s. Yes, those are geared reduction TSI turbocharged injected 520s. It's complicated. In the sim you get cargo, passenger and air ambulance versions, which is very useful of course. She has a max speed of about 232 knots, cruises around 160 to 180, get it to about 20,000 feet, can stall at around 70 knots, flaps down, power off, and she has a range of about 1800 nautical miles. This aircraft has a steam gauge cockpit, which I personally love, and compared to a lot of the other twins which all come with glass and or are far more modern, this gives us a bit of that 70s and 80s retro feel with some bush utility to it. Now, not going to land off airport particularly well, but it will definitely go into the unimproved strips that happen to be in more rugged areas, and feels like you're really doing some hard work. It feels worn, it feels tired, but it also flies incredibly well and gives you a great experience as a pilot. I keep forgetting to say what version some of these aircraft are in. Like the 404, in the Deluxe Edition you can get this, which is the Albatross by Mike Johnson. The Gman HU16 is a large twin-engine radial amphibious flying boat used by the US Air Force, Navy and Coast Guard, and the Royal Canadian Air Force of course, primarily as a search and rescue aircraft. Powered by a pair of my favourite engines, the Wright R1820 Cyclones, putting out 1425 horsepower. Yes, my favourite because they power the DC-3 too, with 3-bladed Hamilton standard constant speed fully feathering reverse pitch propellers, so yes, you can go reverse pitch with a radial. She has a max speed of about 205 knots, and economy cruise, yes, is 108. That is economy for patrol range. That gets its range out to 2400 nautical miles, which is silly. Obviously it can cruise at around 180 if you're going to burn that gas like you got some on tap. Stall speed is 64 knots, and not only do we get one with a retro cockpit, we get two. We get the modern G111, which is, I believe, originally an SA-16A civil version and modernised to new standards, with G1000 avionics in there, a modernised cockpit, gorgeous new liveries. So, 2 seaplanes in one, amphibians, DC-3 engines, flies great, looks great, is great. And it has my favourite engines, did I mention that before? And it floats very well. In fact, the seaplanes in MSFS 2024 fly the most realistically on the water compared to the actual pontoon aircraft. Again, this list is not definitive, nor is it in any particular order. Note I did not include the DC-3 because out of the box stock, the DC-3 from Airplane Heaven is not that great. I hate the fact, but the Duckworth mod for it to make it more realistic, to make its systems function properly, is now available for 2024. It is absolutely worth getting, and if you include the Duckworth mod, it's a great plane. Although, when it was brought up to 2024 standard to be included in the base game, it got absolutely zero in the way of walk-around features like chocks or pitot covers or engine covers, which is highly disappointing. Many others did. So, unfortunately, my favourite aircraft in the entire sim cannot get included in my list of top 10, which is the big sad. Again, don't include every aircraft I fly. This is not the best overall. These are just my top picks that you should check out if you haven't already. Hope you're having a great time, and here's to a wonderful 2025. Bye!